Okay, well, we found our bad spot. So I looked all the way through the abdomen and saw a little bit of maybe inflammation around the pancreas, but the liver was kind of congested. And so you wonder what's going on with the heart, you know, if that's what's going on. So we went and looked up at the heart, and there's some fluid in the chest cavity.
Okay,
The heart contractility is not that great.
Yeah, is it outside of his lungs or inside?
It's outside of the lungs. It's in the cavity itself.
Okay.
The lungs seem to look pretty okay. So the big question is this, you know, infectious? It doesn't, you know, there doesn't seem to be, you know, I checked the total protein on the fluid and it's low, which usually means it's not inflammatory. So the big question is, well, where's the fluid coming from? It's not full of blood. There's some cells in it. We should send that to the lab and have a pathologist look at it, and maybe even see if they can culture anything out of it, because the white blood cell count's obviously an inflammatory count, but the fluid that we're seeing in the chest doesn't seem to be inflammatory. Well, what does that mean? That means there may be something else going on in the chest that's of an inflammatory nature, that's got, you know, communication with the rest of the system through the bloodstream, but the fluid that might be leaking out of that area isn't inflammatory. In other words, you can have like a big lymph nodes or a mass or something like that that's actually causing fluid to seep out, but the fluid that's seeping out is just normal, you know, serum kind of fluid that's a filtrate of the bloodstream, and the actual problem is somewhere else. Now, I didn't do a whole big cardiac ultrasound, but I did see that the heart's not beating real strong.
Yeah.
So one thing that we can probably do is give you some heart medicine that will make the heart beat stronger. Okay.
There's no heartworms or anything?
Well, I didn't see any on the ultrasound, but I didn't do a thorough cardiac deal.
You know.
Has he been from a heartworm area? Any of these places?
No, he's always
been here?
He's always been here.
So that's not real likely, that's what it is. The
Plus
heart doesn't have the look of a dog with heartworm either. It's not,
So.
usually you have right-sided heart enlargement, and the contractility is normal. You can usually see heartworms in the left or the right atrium. Like I said, I didn't do a whole cardiac ultrasound. Actually, the chest ultrasound just a freebie, because I went over this and others. Probably need to get some fluid. And oh yeah, by the way, the heart's not contracting all that great. We can, depending on what the fluid analysis says, go back and try to look around in the chest and see if we can see anything else. I didn't see any masses or anything like that, but you could sit there for 20, 30 minutes fiddling around looking and finally find a mass, possibly. Most masses in the chest are blood vessel tumors on the heart, and they bleed. You usually don't see clear fluid like this that I got out. And so it doesn't look like a hemangiosarcoma, which is those kind of tumors, type of a tumor. And usually you don't see a high white blood cell count with that. And they don't get better when you give them the antibiotic.
And not a tamponade either, you know, with the pericardial?
It's not a pericardial problem at this point.
So it's outside the pleural membranes?
It's in the pleural space.
Oh, it is? So
Yeah, it's thoracic
pleurisy?
fluid.
Could it be pleurisy?
Well, it's not inflammatory. I don't know what it is. There may be infectious agents in it. I got a lot better. I just collected a big sample, you know, before we just got like a half a cc. I want to send a big sample for them to centrifuge down and have the pathologist look at it, because then they can possibly find things like if there's a tumor in there or something. There's no sign of lung cancer or anything like that.
I sat up with him almost all night last night. My husband finally woke up. He's got Parkinson's and he can't sleep all night, and he didn't take his sleeping pill because he had to do it this morning. So he sat up with him the rest of the night.
Well, here's the
But he
thing.
was going and hiding his head under tables. You know, his old butt end was sticking out. He had his head.
If we have to, we can take all of that fluid out of his chest. There's not so much that it's really inhibiting his breathing all that much right now.
Well, last night he was just heaving.
Okay, well, that's something that we want to be careful about then, because just giving him some stuff to increase his cardiac contractility may make him way better, okay? But we need to watch that, because we don't know, maybe there wasn't any fluid in there 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And maybe tomorrow there'll be more than there is today,
Well,
right?
it's just been-
If that's the case, we'll empty him out.
It's just been the past couple of days we've noticed his chest really heaving like that.
Okay.
And when I
laying
would
down and-
give him a belly rub, his chest felt like squishy feeling, you know, not like usual. Usually you can feel like the muscle in there.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
when you rub
there's
the stomach.
a little fluid buildup. Again, that's why I'd like to see what's going on in there. But if we have to, we can start pulling some of that fluid out. And we're not necessarily talking about sticking a whole big chest tube in there and all of that, but you can just put a large bore Teflon catheter in there and just start sucking fluid out until you can't get any more out if we need to. Most of it's on the right side. So again, that makes you wonder whether or not there's something going on with some kind of other kind of lesion in a certain
And it was
localized spot.
weird that he was having the pain on his side, and we were thinking it was a pulled muscle or something on the back disc just because of the way he was acting. And then and then he would be like.
When he was
Well, a
falling down.
penetrating wound can do this.
Yeah, well, we wondered if
And that
maybe
can cause
the cat-
pain on his side and stuff in there. Usually you see pus when you look at it.
Yeah,
But
but
he
I
there's
don't see that.
He's not in yelping pain now.
nothing
Right.
He
external.
was before, when we
Yeah.
first, when
So we got a little bit of a mystery going on. One of the things that's probably the most significant that I see is the contractility of the heart muscle. It's not, it's not that great. And the speed of the heart beating isn't all that great either. So instead of seeing, like if you can't breathe that good, your heart's gonna start beating harder and trying to move more blood and get more oxygen. And this heart, instead of going like this, it's going, well, that's not that great. And like I said, we probably at some point are gonna wanna do a full cardiac ultrasound. But do we need to do all of that when the pathologist sends me some result back that says, hey, there's cancer cells in his chest or something? It's like, oh, well, maybe we should just check that first. So there are clusters of cells in the chest cavity, but those could just be cells that are in there because of the fluid accumulation, and they're not really, I didn't see anything that looked like cancer cells in there when I looked. There's some inflammatory cells in there, but not that many, and the protein level, according to the test that I just ran, isn't really anything more than what you'd expect if you had fluid just seep through and into the chest cavity, which can be hemodynamic. In other words, you got blood setting around there backing up because the heart's not beating very well. And I can see that the heart's not beating very well, so that shouldn't be a big mystery. So,
I wonder why he hasn't been coughing. He hasn't coughed.
well, dogs don't always cough with that kind of a thing. In the lungs, there's not a lot of fluid in the lungs. It's around the lungs.
Yeah, but what about the knocking on the airway? Sometimes they
Well, if it gets bad enough, it's going to be a problem. That's when you've got to get the fluid out.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's just not that bad right now. There's maybe 10% of the breathing capacity constricted, which
Yeah.
is, if you start walking upstairs, you notice that you get tired faster, and that's about it.
Well, I sing in a choir, and I know that if I get like bronchitis or something, my capacity to
Oh
breathe
yeah,
in,
it'll
because
really mess it up.
you got to breathe in, and I notice that I can't hold notes as long as it's like, I better go to the doctor.
Something's going on.
Yeah, I was
So-
telling Guido there's a scale at church who was volunteering, and she started coughing, and she couldn't get her from May until July an appointment with her doctor at the VA, terrific VA hospital.
Well, it's the government involvement.
So,
when the government gets involved, the line gets
So
really
she
long.
kept going to the emergency room, they kept telling her she had bronchitis, and they kept giving her stronger and stronger and stronger antibiotics, and they finally said, well, we can't give you, stay away from people. She had to quit volunteering.
Now,
She finally got in with her doctor, it was a heart murmur.
bad cardiac output.
You know.
Well, that can do it. And like I said, we may, if this fluid comes back as perfectly normal, then we should do a full cardiac ultrasound and chest cavity exam. But for right now, I don't necessarily want to do a bunch of stressful stuff. And I don't want to do a bunch of procedures that the lab tests will tell us we didn't need to do.
Yeah.
So as long as we're breathing okay, we'll just give you some heart medicine, because I know the cardiac contractility didn't look that good. And I've got that recorded on the machine, so I can go back and measure it and get an actual number of the called fractional shortening of what's going on with the heart. And then I can check that against what it looks like with the medicine working. Because I'm going to give you that heart medicine right now.
Yeah,
Because I'm afraid that may be the actual fix, is to give some medicine, heart medicine.
Yeah,
Now, can we
liquid
get
form.
liquid?
We can compound it into a
Yeah,
liquid, but they
I'm
don't
gonna
make
have
that
to.
in a liquid.
Yeah, because
It's a chewable treat kind of thing, though. You might be able to throw it on the floor and you might eat it.
I doubt it.
Well,
He
I'd
is-
try it first.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then liquefy it if we have to.
Okay.
Because, you know, when you liquefy it, the expiration time gets
Right now,
faster.
getting him heat would eat nothing yesterday. Absolutely nothing. He did poop this morning and it looked weird again.
What was weird about it?
Well, it kind of looks like brown tar, and they told me there was blood in the
Yeah, that's
stool.
bad circulation. Yeah,
Hmm.
probably what that is. It's not like some tumor in the colon or thing like that, or all that. The place where the blood quits flowing first in a dog, if you keep cranking the blood pressure down, is the colon. What's the fix on that? Get the blood pressure up. That's what the medicine I'm giving you is for.
so
Okay.
maybe he doesn't have an appetite because the blood flow is not going too good in there.
He may be way better on the heart medicine, so we're
Let's
gonna see.
try one here and see if he'll take
Okay,
it.
let me get these guys going here.
He won't, then I may have to have you call.
Thank you.
You're welcome.